Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Uh-oh. Terence Crawford snap. Bud snap. F y'all weirdos. Crawford ain't playing, boy. Who pissed off Terence Crawford, man? Who got Bud, man, the $50 million man, $75 million man? Who got him out here on Twitter cussing and carrying on? I better leave him alone. Leave him alone. Some people say Terence Crawford went too far. He had every right to be a bit agitated, every right to be pissed off. They say he crossed the line most fighters avoid. Publicly disrespected the WBC. Oscar De La Hoya, most people don't care about Oscar. And then Manny Pacquiao. Say disrespected old man Pacquiao. Three powerful entities in the sport. What's going on with Crawford? Man, let me tell you something. To some boxing fan, Crawford looks ungrateful, he looks arrogant and hypersensitive. But when you zoom out, this is not a story about a cocky champion barking at legends. This is a story of a man who spent his entire career being told he wasn't good enough. And that's just the truth, man. How would you feel if your whole career you're being told that you're not good enough, and you got people still out here running their mouth, disrespecting you? You'd probably get a little bit Sesame Street too, wouldn't you? You're not going to sit there and let nobody mess with you. So Terence Crawford, his anger isn't new. It only now is boiling over in the public. I've never seen him really have a fallout like that, but I don't know, man. You know, Terence Crawford, the child who grew up here and you're not good enough. I mean, if you look at his psychology, kind of represents the classic profile of someone who's been emotionally dismissed from day one. You know what I'm saying? He was a fighter who the media, they didn't really push him. Promoters didn't want to take a risk on him. Networks didn't really prioritize him the way they should have. And fans didn't appreciate him until it's too late. So Crawford was always exceptional, but boxing treated him like he was replaceable. You know what I'm saying? And that's what has Crawford feeling the way he feels. Can you blame him? Being told repeatedly that your accomplishments don't matter, that your resume is weak, that your belts don't count, that your promoter doesn't matter. That creates fighters with deep internal scars, man. You're on the other side of the street. All kind of shit. Crawford grew into a superstar with the mentality of a neglected child, man. Why don't you see me? Why don't you respect me? Why doesn't my greatness matter? That pain stays with a man. Money doesn't erase it. All that money Crawford have, that don't have shit. Let me tell you something. That doesn't erase whatever he's feeling on the inside. But you just got to understand the boxing politics, man. The years of disrespect that built this monster that y'all saw break out there on Twitter. He really is, you know, he got a monster living inside of him, and that's a fact. I try to break down how boxing truly abused Crawford over the years. They got other people who, live and breathe Terence Crawford. I don't. I just like boxing. But I do know there are several things. One is the wrong side of the street. Let me tell you something. Shit, boy. One of them cat-like stretches, you know what I'm saying? This remains one of the most degrading things ever said to a champion. You on the wrong side of the street. It was a public admission that Crawford was being blocked from greatness. Not because of talent, but because of business lines. The resume attacking his resume. But could you imagine, you're over here with Top Rank. All these other fighters over here with PBC. You want to fight them, and nobody will make a fight with you. Your promoter can't make the fights because he doesn't want to put up any money. It's just one problem after the other. That's crazy. Business lines. Then attacking the man's resume. Before Spence, Crawford was obliterating every opponent. But the world told him, you beat nobodies, you only fight leftovers, you're not fighting PBC fighters. No other undisputed fighter was discredited the way Terence Crawford was discredited. But now they all on him, aren't they? But Crawford is he still got the anger in him. Then the blame game. Despite trying to make fights, Crawford was always blamed for putting duck sauce on the fried rice. Even when negotiations showed otherwise, they still came back and blamed the man. How unfair can you be? And being compared to fighters with bigger platforms. Fighters on PBC, top-ranked favorites or media darlings were elevated, while Crawford was ignored. So psychologically, this builds resentment, not gratitude. And that's what you're seeing in Terence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Now, all that money Crawford has, it didn't fix his mindset. Fans always ask, why is Bud so angry? He's rich. Tell you something, man. You go and you try to explain that to Trauma. Trauma isn't care about money. Money doesn't erase a decade of public belittling. Crawford got millions after years of mistreatment, not before. So instead of healing, success only reminded him they never believed in me until they had no choice. That's gotta suck, man. Crawford doesn't have a money problem, he has a validation problem. And no amount of zeros on a paycheck can buy respect he feels he earned the hard way. Now, as far as Crawford, the WBC, Oscar, Manny Pacquiao. I understand why he lost his cool. He was supposed to get the Pacquiao fight. Bob Arum, even Pacquiao's handlers, they didn't want that fight. They felt Terence Crawford was going to just, beat the crap out of Pacquiao. And Bob Arum said he had a soft spot for Pacquiao, so he didn't want to make the fight. But with the WBC is a symbol of boxing bias. That's all it is. The WBC constantly elevated certain fighters while downplaying Crawford. Sanctioning politics always felt stacked against him. And you look at what happened here the other day where they stripped him of the WBC belt. They wanted $300,000. Crawford knows there's certain fees that had to be paid, but he was able to work out something with the other three sanctioning bodies, but the WBC still wanted more money than what Crawford gave the other sanctioning bodies. And that just really pissed him off because he felt like they were just trying to take advantage of him. And Oscar De La Hoya, let me tell you something. Oscar often criticized Crawford's marketability while promoting fighters with weaker resumes. The hypocrisy. Crawford sees that as a hypocrisy, plain and simple. Plus, he also felt like, if they were to fight prime for prime, Crawford felt like he would have beat De La Hoya and he would have beat Manny Pacquiao. So De La Hoya is just talking about Manny Pacquiao would have beat Terence Crawford. That's because Manny Pacquiao beat De La Hoya, and De La Hoya he's good at, I don't know, De La Hoya or Jake Paul, which one's better at pissing people off? You know what I'm saying? So plain and simple, Crawford wasn't trying to hit nothing from De La Hoya because Crawford tries to respect the legends of the past, but De La Hoya, for some reason, not just De La Hoya, but Crawford is, I don't know, like an easy target to these people. And Manny Pacquiao, Crawford went off on him. He wanted Manny Pacquiao, and Pacquiao was still dangerous. But, Pacquiao's team, they avoided the fight. They just felt Crawford was too risky. And that's why Crawford reacts emotionally, man. Pacquiao was supposed to be the fight that was supposed to really take Crawford's career to where it is now a lot sooner. But Pacquiao represents the respect Crawford was never given. And that's why Crawford gets so upset when it comes to talking about Manny Pacquiao. So does Crawford have the right to be angry? Absolutely, man. Absolutely. He's a once-in-a-generation fighter who never failed a drug test, never avoided an opponent, never had controversy in the ring, unified divisions the hard way, beat Earl Spence in a masterclass, became undisputed 3 times. Yet boxing fans still praise Look, they still praise fighters that he dominated more than him. Look what he did to Canelo. People still come out here talk about Canelo more than Crawford, talk about Spence more than Crawford. They talk about everybody more than they talk about Terence Crawford. That's crazy. They talk about Sean Porter, everybody. Crawford just doesn't get that love, but I just gotta imagine the psychological toll. He's not angry about money. He's angry because boxing didn't appreciate him until it became undeniable. And when you think about that childhood trauma parallel, human psychology shows a pattern. A child who grows up being ignored often becomes an adult who lashes out when finally given a voice. That is Crawford today. He's not attacking the WBC, Oscar, and Pacquiao for fun. He's attacking the system that never valued him. And this shit goes way beyond ego. Trust me. This is trauma. This is resentment. Unmet emotional needs. Crawford wants the world to acknowledge him, respect him, validate him, rewrite the narrative about him. So his anger is real, but the pain behind it is even more real. You know what I'm saying? I really do believe Terence Crawford. Man, I believe Terence Crawford, when he's alone sometimes and he's staring at the wall, he hears his conscience call. I think he may get a little emotional, you know. I feel bad for Terence Crawford. I really do. I'm not going to lie. I feel bad for Terence Crawford. All this blood, sweat, and tears he put into the sport of boxing and still can't get his respect. I know some people say, well, Terence Crawford should have paid the sanctioning fees. Everybody else pays sanctioning fees. What is he doing? He's not special. Well, you may think he's going too far. It depends on who you ask. They may say he's not. But, you know, emotionally, I just think Crawford's finally saying everything he held in for years. You know what I mean? He's got the money. He's at the end of his career. He got turkey a la chic when turkey's in the house every day. It's Thanksgiving. Supporting him. He got the ring belt, which is the belt that he feels really matters. And Crawford is just tired of the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And in Crawford's mind, he's justified with saying everything that he's saying. He's just tired of the BS, man. You know? So but in boxing's mind, Crawford's becoming a villain. That's not the case. In reality, he's a hurt champion fighting for respect more than belts. And I mean, I don't see how y'all can't see that. You know what I'm saying? He's fighting for respect more than belts. So he's just a fighter who finally spoke up, if you ask me. Terence Crawford's not lashing out because he's arrogant. He's lashing out because he's wounded, because boxing failed him, because fans ignored him, because media disrespected him, because promoters limited him. Now he's speaking from a place of pain, not power. So I think the question for you, viewer, did Crawford go too far or did he finally say what needed to be said? I think he said what needed to be said. It's just the way he delivered it was rough, boy. Even Pacquiao took some shots, but Pacquiao came back and just gave Terence Crawford a shout out and was being, you know, polite to him. So Pacquiao killed him with kindness. But Crawford is a little bit Sesame Street. Crawford will go off on you. But that rant was epic. But I can understand where he's coming from. Anyway, man, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. In the breeze.